Hello and welcome to the Tie Up, your weekly review show of AEW. I am TIE Fighter X1, joined by Red Fox 15 himself. How you doing, Red?
I'm doing great, Ty. How are you doing?
I am better than yesterday. So second episode, and we are now in multiple places to listen or watch. You can watch on YouTube or listen on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcast, or Stitcher. Am I forgetting any?
I think that's everything.
So, yeah, make sure you tell your friends to check out the show, leave a review. Maybe we can start reading some of these reviews on the show as well. Some of our favorite reviews that we get dropped. That might be a little bit fun. So yeah. What happened since last episode? Anything to note?
Well, the last episode we did was on the Revolution pay-per-view, so we've covered a couple of days.
3-hour episode. We promise it won't be that long in the future. Actually, we don't promise that. We'll try not to go that long in the future.
Dynamite's a little easier to cover.
Yeah. Go ahead.
We've listened to some of the podcasts that AEW has started. This past week's episode was about Jim Ross.
That's a good segue into the podcast. You listened to the whole episode, right?
I did.
And what did they cover on the podcast? Anything that stuck out to you?
It was basically just a rundown of Jim Ross, how he got into wrestling, and just what he's done from the point that he got in to the point that Tony Khan offered him a job.
Awesome. Jim Ross, legendary announcer, one of the best to have ever done it. Even if I'm not digging some of his recent work, I respect the man tremendously, and he's one of the best to ever do it. So I'm glad he's working with AEW for sure. So with that being said, you want to jump into Dynamite?
All right. So as we left off with Revolution, we have a new AEW World Champ. And as such, the AEW World Champ has to come out and talk to the crowd. I've discovered from watching this that it wasn't just the other thing that I'm not a fan of this, and I'm just not a fan of the first segment being someone running their mouth.
Yeah. And it was a long promo. The pop that he got, though, when he came out to the ring was massive.
Oh, yeah.
Super over in AEW, and maybe putting the belt on him was the right idea, because I can't believe how loud the crowd was when he came out. Like, it was insane. So yeah, he talked about some stuff. Put the fans over, right? Said the championship was the fans' championship, and then of course, something else had to happen, right?
Yeah. I mean, he did call out the entirety of the inner circle, so
yeah,
naturally they had to respond.
Jericho came out. Crowd sings Judas as usual, which is really cool to me. I really love the fact that the whole crowd always sings Judas when Jericho's coming out, so that's cool. He said stuff like he didn't need the championship title to be Le Champion. My favorite part, though, was when the crowd tried to start a chant and they couldn't get the timing down right. Jericho asked them if they were a bunch of stupid idiots because they can't even chant in unison, so that was pretty funny. Shut your ass.
Yeah. I love that what followed that up was one of the most perfect unisons of the chant, shut your ass.
Yes. You suck ass, I thought.
You suck ass, yeah. It was just how quickly they became in unison.
Yep. Jericho stated that Inner Circle's a hit squad. He's putting the entire roster on notice, and if Moxley walked out on his own 2 feet at the end of the episode, he would leave for 60 days. Anything that you took from I know you said you're not a fan of opening the show with these types of promos, but what did you think about the opening segment?
It was good. If they had put that somewhere else in the show, I would have been happy with it. One of my favorite things about AEW is they do the title screen. There's like 45 seconds, and then we're in a match.
Right.
I mean, one of the contenders is normally in the ring even. So I love getting straight to it. And this previous Dynamite, that was not it. One of the things I did find funny with Jericho was him accusing Moxley of cheating for having two eyes.
I mean, that's good heel heat though, because everybody, well, not everybody, most people have two eyes. He indeed has two eyes, but he only trained for a guy with one eye. I don't know how you would train like differently, but Jericho always coming with the good stuff. So after that, we rolled right into SCU with Colt Cabana versus Dark Order. How do you think that match was?
I think it was a great match. Nothing stood out too much for me. One move I did enjoy was Frankie Kazarian using the rope to pull one of the Dark Order into the ring. And in the process of him coming in, he gets him with a cutter.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet. One of the moves I saw that I didn't like was Evil Uno made the ref catch, I think it was Christopher Daniels' foot for, he caught his foot for an enziguri, and then he, swung it over to the ref, and the ref caught it and, just held him there, and then Evil Uno hit the big neck breaker from it. I thought it was unique, and it would have been cool for, a tag team move, but to include the ref in that, it didn't make sense to me. I didn't think that was...
That sounds very heel to me. I don't recall seeing it, but that's definitely something I would expect from a heel, and I feel like it's a good, cheap heel move.
But why would the ref catch the foot, right?
And then reaction.
And just hold it, because
it's Uno, reaction and shock.
Yeah, Evil Uno's not the quickest to move around the ring, right? So it took him a second to hit the neck breaker, but it was a cool move. I loved Colt Cabana doing his usual comedy stuff in the beginning of the match. There was a combination from Dark Order where one of them hit a stunner, and it was 4 moves, but one of them hit a stunner at the end, and then the other one caught the guy on the rebound from the stunner and into a German suplex. I thought that was unique and cool. But it was weird. The crowd was not into this match. They weren't into booing Dark Order. They weren't into or behind SCU and Colt Cabana. There's very little reaction from them. JR had a horrible joke about a 5-arm instead of a 4-arm. I was like, oh god, that's god awful. But yeah, and then the finish, we saw the Chicago Skyline followed by the Superman pin from Colt Cabana. What do you think of that move?
I have not seen a lot of Colt Cabana, so that was just thoroughly impressive to me all the way through.
Colt Cabana's always been one of my favorite wrestlers, and the charisma he has is unmatched.
Yes.
He's a lot of fun to watch, so I'm excited to see some more stuff from him. So after the match, Dark Order got on the mic. What they have to say?
Basically, that the Exalted One's not going to be happy that they lost. Honestly, the whole SCU Dark Order thing feels like it's kind of met its play out. Should have kind of been done with it at Revolution, but
right.
We went right back to it again a few days later.
Yep. So after that, we had a video package on the Epic Tag Team match from Revolution with Kenny Omega, Adam Page, and the Young Bucks. So they kind of showed a recap. I actually, really enjoy the fact that throughout the night they kind of showed some video packages of what happened at Revolution. unlike other promotions that sometimes just shows like still pictures because they still want you to go buy the show. I think seeing the actual match and like a short condensed version of it and like, oh my god, that was awesome, would make me go buy the pay-per-view more than just a couple of images, you know?
Yeah. Especially if like after a week or two they kind of cut the price down a little bit.
Right.
I would definitely go back and pick it up if I hadn't already.
So then my favorite dentist, Britt Baker, came out and delivered a Starbucks coffee to Tony and joined the commentary team for the next match. Why don't you go over the next match for us?
Okay, let me go over the next match for you. So the next match is Big Swole versus Liba Bates, which is kind of better known as the Librarian. The entirety of the match is the Librarian throws a book. It doesn't work. She loses.
Very short match, squash match, pretty much. I think that's how they booked the Librarians, though, both of them, right?
Man, and I hate it. But not because they're not good at what they're doing or anything. It's just, I feel like they both have a little more potential than that.
Sure.
But I felt like it took longer for Britt Baker to get into her seat and settled in than it did for Big Swole to win that match.
You're definitely right.
I hate that.
I also hated that it was so quick because we didn't get more Britt Baker. I'm a huge Britt Baker fan since she's turned heel. When she was face, I wasn't very impressed with her work. But since she's turned heel, man, she is gold, and I love it. Love every second that I can get of her.
Yeah, the Tony Schiavone best friend thing. I'm picking that up.
Then Cody comes out for an interview, kind of to address the crowd. Why don't you talk about that for a second?
So Cody comes out, and one of the things that catches me on his way to the ring is the most awesome sign as a result from Revolution. The MJF sucks toes. That sign just tickled me. I got stuck on that for longer than I should have.
Yeah.
So Cody's out. He's talking about how bad it is that he lost to MJF and just how it affects him personally. And some of the most whining I've heard Cody do since he was in other promotions. And just in the middle of his pity party, we have some new ring music. And Jake the Snake Roberts comes out to address the crowd.
And
or more specifically, Cody.
What an amazing reaction Jake got. You know, he's been away from wrestling for a very long time. And it sounded like it was the 90s, the way that they reacted when he came to the ring. So it was very awesome to see that because he's my favorite psychology wrestler to have ever stepped in the ring. Jake the Snake is got the brain for this. What did he have to say?
Jake is a legend, and time does not change that.
Right.
20 years from now, some animatronic Jake the Snake's going to walk out, and you're going to hear just as big of a pop. But Jake came out to inform Cody that Jake has a client. And client's going to face Cody, but Jake's there to get his cut. Not from AEW, but his cut from Cody.
Yes.
He's there for Cody.
Yeah, he said. I think he said something along the lines of, "I don't want the whole pie. I just want your piece."
God, great psychology. And the best piece of psychology from the entire thing. Yes. He had a couple of lines. One of my lines I really enjoyed was the Hail Mighty Caesar addressing Cody, talking about how Cody has kind of carried himself as the biggest and the best.
Right.
But
I kind of missed that when I was watching through the first time, but you brought that up to me right before we went on. And I see that now. My favorite was never turn your back on someone you respect.
Yes.
Or someone you're afraid of. And there it goes. He turns his back.
He immediately turns his back and walks out the ring.
Microphone. It was good.
Yeah, it's good to see Jake back. It's good to see him clean. Man, I'm so excited for that.
So, anything else you want to talk about on that?
We might cover some speculation later, but
Yeah.
that covers this segment. It was a great segment, and what has been a kind of hit and miss episode so far. It seems like anything going on in the ring hasn't been all that great so far.
So that was kind of going to change with the next match. We got Chuck Taylor versus Pock. And Chuck Taylor had quite a bit of offense against Pock, which I didn't actually expect. I thought this was going to be another squash match when like they announced it last week. What was your take on the actual match between these two?
Having seen Trent and Chuck both work independently, I knew that it wasn't going to be just a squash match. I didn't think Chucky T was going to bring it out like he did, but apparently he was a little upset from Revolution and wanted to get some revenge on behalf of his friend and put on a pretty good match.
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all. Towards the end, Chuck Taylor missed a big moonsault, and then Pac locked the brutalizer in, and that was it until Pac got on the mic and introduced another faction. So let's back up for a second. And Jake the Snake, he kept saying Dark Side, the Dark Side's coming. Do you think that's another faction that is also going to be coming, or do you think it's just going to be like, one wrestler? And
I don't know that AEW can help themselves, so it's probably another faction.
It's like we got rid of one faction, Nightmare Collection, that was done on Dark, and now we just keep bringing in new factions. It's crazy, but yeah, Pock and the Lucha Brothers, I believe they're calling themselves the Death Triangle.
Yes.
What do you think of that tag team, or that trio, I guess?
I guess they needed something to make Pac and the Lucha Brothers more entertaining, so they put them together. As far as heels go, it's a great group of heels. It's a good stable for people who are just going to burn you up if you're a guy who likes to pull for the face.
Right. I mean, all three of them are very talented. There's no question about that. This seems a lot like. Were you a fan of Shikara at all?
No.
Okay. Shikara was a promotion that was pretty much based on Japanese wrestling. And they did a lot of factions as well. But they also did a lot of 3-on-3 matches. And I think there was even belts for trios and stuff. So it kind of made more sense. But yeah, it seems like everybody is picking their clique and AEW to hang out with. So it's going to get very interested, I think. Up next
Hope so.
was QT Marshall versus Jake Hager. Thank you, Zazabu, for correcting the how to pronounce his name in the comments last week. What did you think of this match?
I've never had high hopes when the words QT and Marshall were put together for a match. He seems just as surprised when he pulls something off as we are, and it kind of takes away from the performance for me. I feel like Hager's a higher tier than QT Marshall, so sure. I wasn't expecting a whole lot. I got more than I bargained for, though.
And Hager looked more dominating in this match than he did against Dustin Rhodes on the pay-per-view Revolution. And QT is probably 20-30 years younger than Dusty, so that's interesting psychology that they used there. You also noticed that Hager's wife was missing from ringside, or did you not notice?
I didn't care.
Yeah. That's weird that she was
probably
there.
Appreciated it more.
It's weird that she was there for the pay-per-view, but not there for for this match. I think it's the wise thing to do, not have her there. But yeah. So after the match, things really got interesting, right?
Hey, there we go again. Anything going on in between the bell is kind of mediocre, but we're doing all kinds of storytelling tonight.
So what happened there?
So we've got the Inner Circle, and they're going to beat on everyone. Okay, first Hager doesn't want to let go of the triangle, so Dustin comes in to kind of get him to break the triangle. So the rest of the Inner Circle come in.
Did we even say who won?
Hey guys, Hager got the win with the triangle submission. It may have looked familiar. He used it a couple of nights ago in a similar fashion. So Dustin comes in. He goes for the breakup. He's doing all right, but eventually, 5-on-1 or 4-on-1 because Jericho wasn't out there.
Sure,
takes its effect. And they're just beating on Dustin now.
Yeah, Cody came in, tried to save Dustin as well. He ended up getting a chair for his trouble. And then Dustin laid on top of, Dustin laid on top of Cody to try and protect Cody, which has always been like a little weird to me. I know he's his big brother and he's trying to like put over the fact that he's trying to protect his little brother. But to me, it kind of makes Cody look like a little bitch. So maybe we'll see Cody just, snapping at that, and get another feud between those two saying, I don't need you to protect me. Maybe that's in the future. So after Cody gets beat down,
Matt Jackson, because, Nick's out with an injury.
So go ahead.
So you got Matt running in for the save, and he starts tearing down, starts beating on Hager. Hager finally catches up to him, takes him out. So we have the Inner Circle having now taken out 3 people who have all independently thought it was a good idea to go 3-on-1.
So then Hangman Page comes down to the ring and beer in hand. And he gets in the ring.
In hand.
Yes, he gets in the ring and he's just kind of standing there, and Inner Circle's looking at him, and then they're like, "Okay, you're not going to do anything. Well, then we're going to go back to work." So then Hangman Page puts his beer down and starts, getting in on the action. At one point, he gets thrown over the top rope by Hager. He holds onto the top rope and comes back in with the buckshot lariat on Hager, and that clears the ring. Of course, he has to go grab his beer first, though, and takes a big swig, and then Matt Jackson gets in his face, and he gives Matt Jackson a big finger and walks away. So that was this story with Hangman and mostly Matt is getting interesting. What's your take on it?
Exactly that. It's one of those things where, he's good with helping them out because he's the one that needs to whip their ass, not anybody else.
So then we had a video package. Oh, I did want to mention Hangman Page got like a 12-pack of beer from the crowd on his way back. I was like, oh my God, everybody is giving him beer. And like, he couldn't even hold it all. I don't know how much they're charging for their beers, but I'm sure it's like $10, so he probably had over $100 of beer in his hand.
Oh yeah.
And it's really funny, like, because I don't know what to like. He's not going to drink it all. Like, I mean, he might, but I don't think he is.
Yeah, he actually tweeted out the other day, "Can you believe all these fans are giving me $100 worth of beer for nothing?"
Yeah.
And the greatest reply was from Private Party. Where's our $12? Nice.
And the crowd's just going right back to the concession stand and grabbing another beer. So.
Oh yeah.
But you pay in wrestling for those memories and those moments, that interaction. So it's really cool that he's sharing that moment with fans.
Oh yeah.
We got a video package for Nyla Rose versus Chris Statlander from the Revolution. You know, again, that championship just looks horrible. They announced next week that Death Triangle is going to be in action. Ortiz is going to take on Cody Rhodes, and that they're going to have some kind of blood and guts rules announcement. We're also going to see MJF with Butcher and the Blade versus Jurassic Express. That's a weird trio to me. What do you think of that pairing between MJF and Butcher and the Blade?
They got brought into this pairing and everything. Originally they put them together by saying that MJF hired the Butcher and the Blade to attack Cody.
Right.
So for them just carrying on you did a horrible job at what I paid you for, so we're going to recoup some of that money. I can work with that.
Okay. That makes a little bit more sense now that you put it that way. We did get a MJF promo after that. What did you think about the promo that he cut?
Anytime you give MJF a live mic, you're going to get something entertaining.
Yeah.
It's probably also going to be highly offensive, but it's going to be entertaining.
What did you think of his shirt and his call out about the neck tattoo on Cody Rhodes?
It was brilliant. I loved how he showed the shirt. I loved his comments about the shirt. I loved his comments on Twitter later when someone asked about it being for sale. He said, "No, you actually have to pin Cody Rhodes to get this."
Yeah, he called Jungle Boy Jungle Jabroni. He called Marco stunted growth. It was good. And then it was time for the main event. So going into this, like, I looked at the time around about an hour after they started. So I guess it was 9 p.m. And I was like, man, we've only had like a match and a half. And this feels like a rush show. But it was just mostly story. But we did get the main event. We had Moxley and Darby versus Jericho and Sammy. The first thing I want to ask you is, does Moxley, like, when he cut the promo in the beginning of the show, did he just go back to his car and like sit in the parking lot for the next 2 hours?
Maybe, probably. I mean, he's got the Ford GT. Wouldn't you be there?
Oh, that's true. Yeah. But I mean, those cars are small. He probably isn't comfortable.
Yeah, he normally drives a Dodge Ram, so.
So yeah, let's talk about what happened at the beginning of the match.
So Jericho and Guevara come out. They do their thing. They are the Inner Circle. They're the best friends without the best friends music moniker. And then you got Darby coming out. Darby's got his great song and comes out with his skateboard. And then there's Moxley, because he's your champ. He's got to come out last.
Right.
He comes out through the audience. I think that's becoming a little predictable by now, because 3 members of the Inner Circle were in the audience waiting on him.
Right. Dressed in disguises, though. They had jackets, they had masks, and they jumped Moxley in the crowd, bring him back to the concession stand. Was there Dippin' Dots in this episode? I don't remember.
There was not Dippin' Dots in the scene. There was a Domino's, but I don't think they fully intended to include that.
So yeah. So the 3 of them beat down Moxley. My biggest gripe about this whole thing, though, is the fact that where is Darby Allin during all of this? You have a big match coming up with Moxley. You probably need his help, but he is just sitting on the outside of the ring, watching on the big screen, when he could have went into the crowd. He saw Moxley coming down from the crowd, like he's right there. Why don't you just run up and try and help him? I I didn't like that at all. What was your take?
I've always taken Darby as if I don't have a stake in it, I'm not bothering with it.
But
He has no real ties to Moxley aside from this match. And Darby's the kind of guy who, if it looks like it might hurt just a little more doing it one way versus the other, he's going to do it the hard way.
Yeah. So that's that leads to the actual match, right? Well, the arm triangle got put on Moxley inside of, or on the ground this time. It wasn't the standing arm triangle. Hager had him on Moxley, though, on the ground, and they leave Moxley there. The doctors come out, check on Moxley, and then we go back to the ring. What happened in the ring?
Darby Allin accepted that it would be a handicap match. Jericho and Guevara as a tag team, and him playing all lonesome by himself.
And Darby Allin really was holding his own in the beginning until a vicious knee shot from Sammy Guevara to the side of the head. I thought that could have knocked Darby Allin out, but he is one tough SOB.
Yeah.
So what did you think of the actual match?
You know, they did a good job of having Darby holding his own through most of it. I mean, it is a handicap match against two top tier people in the business. So, you know, he's going to get whooped for most of it. There's just no avoiding that. You don't have time to take a breath. So,
what did you think of the hot tag to himself?
Darby Allin is a very interesting individual and likes to play with some of the psychology.
Yeah.
Him tagging himself and becoming a fresh character for a good 2 minutes was just brilliant.
House of Fire he came in with, and yeah, it was well done. We saw the coffin drop to all of the inner circle on the outside of the ring, and then a coffin drop on Sammy in the middle of the ring. I don't know if you noticed this or not. I got to ruin pro wrestling for you each week. When he hit the coffin drop and he went for the pin, you actually saw the ref hesitate 1 second before counting, and that was to give Jericho enough time to get placement on the apron so he could get in to break up the pin. Did you notice that?
So to clarify, no, I did not notice that. Thank you for ruining my childhood.
So yeah, I didn't like that. If you're not there to break up the pin, you're not there to break up the pin. The match needs to be called 1, 2, 3 if somebody didn't kick out. My favorite's when a ref counts 1, 2, and then you just see them hold up their hand, and like the ref or the wrestlers never did anything. And it's just like, well, this is really ruining wrestling. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I was wrestling, I like to not tell the ref the finish of the match, just because if I don't kick out, then that's the finish of the match. It's more, it looks real if you have no idea what's going on, and if you hit 3, then you hit 3. That's my fault, not yours.
Yeah.
So, we saw Moxley finally come out though, right?
Now, after the match was over.
Oh, wait. Before we get into that, we did see Darby Allin go for a suicide dive, and Jericho caught him in mid-air with the Judas effect. And still, not a single kick out from the Judas effect. The most dangerous move in pro wrestling is a spinning back elbow.
Yes.
So then Moxley comes out with to the ring with the chair. What happened there?
Moxley comes out. He tries to do his thing. Again, we're playing this game where one person is going to take on, and this time 5 people. And it just doesn't work. I mean, even in the world where we're playing make-believe, 5-on-1 is not something you can go, yeah, he's got this, no problem.
Right.
So we take the beat down from the inner circle, and they decide to end the match on a high note. Not the match, but the show on a high note. We're going to take him up the ramp. We're going to pick him up, God, what is that tag team name? All right, help me out.
Ortiz and
No. The three people from the other promotion, Moxley having been one of them.
Oh, the Shield?
Yeah, so we pick him up Shield style for a power bomb off the stage through a table. And that's where we leave Moxley with the Inner Circle giving him the finger in unison. Like it was supposed to be something really impressive.
Yeah. I was kind of let down with the ending of the show. I thought it was flat. I thought the whole show was kind of flat. It's kind of expected after coming off such a big pay-per-view that the bar is going to be lowered a little bit, but I think this is probably the storytelling was there. Execution just wasn't there tonight by most people involved, in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like anything that didn't have bell to bell involved with it was just great. Anytime anyone picked up a mic, it was great. But anytime someone had to perform, it was like they just went through the paces
right
for this episode. Nothing amazing stand out.
With the exception of Darby, Darby looked like he was, performing on a pay-per-view.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel like that's always his go-to.
Right.
He had a nice move where when Jericho was going in for that save, where he just rolled out of the way and let Jericho drop the elbow on Guevara.
Yeah.
That was a great move. Apparently, I wasn't the only one who thought it was great. And just things like that just make me really like watching him.
Yeah, so he's excellent. We didn't also, I think I skipped it. They did the search for Spears' perfect partner, and part of that show as well. So we figured we'd take a second to show you guys that as well. Maybe.
Ladies and gentlemen, a call to arms. One lucky individual, Tully, has the opportunity to have their life changed forever. The opportunity of a lifetime to join us.
We've been trying to find a partner, and we've gone to this and gone to that, and gone to professional wrestlers. But there's a lot of professional wrestlers in this world, and we've got to go out to them. Just like I did in 1984, I searched for Baby Doll, and I found the world's perfect woman.
Yes, you did.
We're out to find the world's perfect partner for Shawn Spears.
So hold on, Tully. We can't just pick anybody, okay? They have to have some credentials. Yeah, you got to be over the age of 18. Okay?
They got to have a lot of credentials.
God willing, you have to be a professional. You have to bring something
You've got to be
the
an
table
athlete.
here. You got to have some. Hashtag search for Spears. That's it. This is global. 30-second video. You send it in. This is not a joke. This is the real deal. The opportunity of a lifetime to stand next to us.
Do you have what it takes to send that video in and have us look at you?
Woo! Whoa, imagine that. There's a camera, and I had something I wanted to say. So let's go. Shawn Spears, you're looking for the perfect partner. Well, guess what? You're looking at him right here. This guy, the definition of technician and the master of the tie-up, Chris Tighe. Shawn Spears, you want to talk about a resume? I have a resume, all right? I trained with the Wild Samoans. I survived a training camp with Harley Race and New Japan Pro Wrestling. The tape backs it up, all right? You want to talk about wins, losses, title defenses, titles won? I could go on and on all day, but that doesn't interest you. What interests you is you need a man that can help stand by your side and get the job done. And guess what? I am not afraid to do whatever it takes to get the job done. Tully Blanchard and Shawn Spears. You're looking at the perfect tag team partner. Chris Tighe. You can call for a call of arms. You can call the Ghostbusters. You can call Jesus himself. Or you can call the number right down below.
So yeah, that was my response to Call for Arms. What do you think of this whole post on Twitter? We're looking for the next talent for AEW.
I'm going to start off with the fact that Tully Blanchard is being a part of this. The fact that we're talking about a promotion that has Tully Blanchard and Art Anderson in it, and they've done next to nothing with that, I'm just shocked.
Right.
But yeah, I like this. It's a great way to promote outside of your typical methods. You're recruiting more for your roster, and you're having some fun while doing it. And if nothing, you're getting some great videos on Twitter to share.
And you since you brought up Tully and Arn, do you see Flair coming over sometime?
No, probably not. Flair feels more like he may be locked in with one of those Legends agreements at the other promotion.
And I think,
whereas Arn got let go.
Yeah, I think Charlotte too being over there is
right.
Probably in the front of his mind. He doesn't want to do anything that's going to harm her position in the company as well.
Right.
And then so you saw my response. You actually pushed me to actually record one of those. What did you think of my response to the perfect tag team partner?
So prior to pushing you to do this, I had an idea of what you were capable of, and seeing it just doubled everything. It was beautiful. I love the charisma you have for it. The first thing I did after I watched that was I immediately called my wife and said, go check out Tighe's Twitter. I loved it. And if we could just get you to do this more often, the world's a better place.
Yeah, I think maybe we're onto something. Maybe I'll just start cutting Twitter promos on everybody. And I mean, we saw me do it against Justin when we had the Madden game coming up. So maybe this is a trend we continue in the future. So let's jump into some news. So the first piece of news I wanted to talk about was it appears AEW has won again in the ratings against NXT. Now, I do want to say this. Is NXT only on USA, or do they have the episode on the app as well?
I'm assuming they're doing it like they do Raw and SmackDown, where the broadcast itself happens on the network, and then a couple of days, couple of weeks, couple of months, depending on the agreement, it shows up on the app.
Okay.
I imagine NXT being the homegrown brand that it is, it's got a closer to date than Raw, where it could be like a month before that next episode shows up.
Right. So 10 weeks, AEW has beat NXT, and we've heard from the other company numerous times that they're not a competition. They don't fear AEW. They don't think anything of it. After 10 weeks of constantly beating them, what do you think WWE? I said it. What do you think they feel now?
Well, we've been talking about their brands. It's not like people don't know what the company name is. I feel like the entire time they felt like this was a challenge. Otherwise, they wouldn't have brought NXT up to the USA Network.
Yeah. And then you watched a few minutes of a pay-per-view tonight. You saw some things that looked familiar. Is that correct?
To say it looked familiar would be an understatement. The first match for the pay-per-view literally ended the exact same way the first match for the pay-per-view ended for Revolution. Lots of spots were the same. It's just, if you watch Revolution and then you watch this, you just felt like these talents watched Revolution too, and they were really impressed.
Oh, that's a good idea. Let's do that too. Next we have, it looks like Kenny Omega is going to be out for 1 or 2 more weeks, due to a hand injury. So they announced for this week's Dynamite in just a couple of days on the 11th that Hangman Page will pick a mystery partner to go up against Jericho and Guevara. Who do you think the mystery partner is going to be? And what do you think about this? What do you think about the injury to Omega and anything else you want to touch on?
I mean, the way Omega and the Bucks perform, it's not a surprise that an injury would have, and did happen. As far as the mystery partner, I'm not sure of anyone who really wants to work with Adam Page right now.
He's definitely not been trustworthy as of late.
He reminds me a lot of the DTA era with Steve Austin.
Steve Austin, yeah. I definitely see that as well. I have a feeling it might be Matt Jackson somehow. Like Matt Jackson's going to put himself into this mystery partner, and they're going to continue the story there.
Maybe. I could just as easily see a pitcher of beer. So.
And I wanted to ask you something else since we were talking about it, but I can't remember what it was. So I guess we'll just move on. We also have a 6-man action on Wednesday. We've got Death Triangle versus Private Party and Joey Janela. What do you think about this matchup?
Got to start somewhere. Private Party and Joey Janela both seem to be the type of people that they use to test out other contenders.
And I really dig Private Party. I think they're an excellent tag team. I wish they were featured more. I'm not crazy about Joey Janela. I'm just not that kind of. He's got a traditional style of hardcore wrestler, and I respect it. It's just not my style. I don't like to watch. It was interesting though because, excuse me, I actually read an interview with him a few days ago saying that he was going to be pretty much full-time back on the indies again, and he would only be featured on AEW when they just asked him to be, which is funny because it was like a couple days and then this came out and I'm like, maybe the AEW office doesn't like that interview he just said, and they want to put him on some shows. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, when you need somebody to fill a slot, Joey Janela's there.
Right. So you want to predict the winners of this match?
Oh, Death Triangle's going over.
And what about we talked about it for a second, but the Hangman and Jericho Guevara match. What do you think's gonna happen there?
I'm not sure. I feel like we're trying to pull Jericho out of the spotlight, so I feel like we kind of need Hangman to go over, but I don't know.
Yeah, I honestly believed that Jericho. We heard the rumors about him being gone, having to film some stuff for his band, and he's super busy. Jericho's always stays busy doing other outside projects and such. So when they made the stipulation of him leaving AEW for 60 days, I for sure thought that he was gone for 60 days. So to see Moxley get put through the table at the end really surprised me. I didn't think he was going to be here. So they pulled the sheep's wool over my eyes on that one. And on this one, I think Jericho and Guevara is going to win due to miscommunication between Hangman and whoever his mystery partner is, with probably the mystery partner taking the pinfall. We also got an announcement that for Blood and Guts, which is airing on March 25th edition of Dynamite, we have the entire Inner Circle versus the Elite. What do you think about this matchup? And what do you think about these special features type shows we had Bash on the Beach, and now we have this. It kind of reminds me of Clash of Champions back in the WCW days, how they would air that special every now and then, like a free pay-per-view. Yeah, what's your take? Do you like it? Do you dislike it?
I think they're running a pay-per-view a quarter, so having these special Dynamites helps in multiple ways. It fills that gap when you're only doing one every 3 months, and then it kind of makes it more of a, you really need to get your ticket and get in here because this is a special thing. Don't know when or if it's going to happen again. It's something you'll want to experience live.
And then, so we had this big matchup. What do you think about the matchup?
I'm not sure about the Elite being the one on the other side of the Inner Circle. It's not really a great storyline there. I mean, there's nothing really personal between any of them. So
yeah, it's weird because you had all of these other people feuding with these guys. So you would have thought you would have saw Darby Allin, you would have saw Dusty Rhodes, you would have saw John Moxley, and I can't think of who Ortiz and Santana's really feuding with right now. I don't think that they're kind of locked into anything, but I mean, you definitely could have seen maybe the Young Bucks join those guys for this matchup. It was weird that they're popping Cody back in there with Jericho, and
yeah, I think the Nightmare family would have been a better fit, or a new collection, but not the Elite. The Elite just stands out, and maybe they're foreshadowing some of the things we're going to see along the way to this, but it doesn't feel right at this point.
All right, so that's pretty much all of the news. Oh, actually, there was one piece I did find. Well, two pieces, I guess we can talk about. So AEW actually, this was really cool to me. They actually, for the jumping of Jon Moxley during Dynamite, they actually had 3 fans, or 3 people at least, sit in the exact seats that Hager, Ortiz, and Santana eventually took over. And the whole time they were sitting there, they actually had the same jackets and the same masks on. So they went to great lengths to try and keep the jumping of Moxley a secret. What's your take on that?
That's just great work for production. I mean, that's not something that people typically think about when you're building out this story. That is a very fine detail, and it's one of the reasons I love this promotion.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the little things, and the little things, even done in like specific matches, can make a 2-star match look like a 4-star match, and then same thing, 4-star matches into a 5-star match if you're doing all the little things correctly. So that was really cool to me. And then the other thing I saw was Jake the Snake's client is believed to be Brody Lee, right? Yes, Brody Lee,
yes.
Formerly Luke Harper.
Mm-hmm.
Because he teamed with Gallows, right? Was his name Luke too?
No,
that's a different person.
No.
Yeah, that's a completely different person. Now, yeah, never mind. I wanted to say Luke Gallows though, but it is Luke Harper, formerly Bray Wyatt's family.
Formerly a member of the Wyatt family.
What do you think of that news? Do you think? Because I heard that he could also be the Exalted One. So it's weird that now they're spinning this into Jake the Snake, and it's going to be him for the dark side. What's your take?
I have never seen him perform without being a second man for someone, be it him a tag team partner or him being a part of a collective. So the idea of him being the front and center person, especially for the Dark Order, I can't buy into that. There's no way AEW can sell that to me. And I'd say AEW is a great salesman, but they're not going to sell that to me. As far as being the client who just wants a piece of Cody and Feels like Jake could be a great way to kind of get in there and play some mind games. I can buy that. That makes sense to me.
And with it being Jake, I don't remember ever being blown away by a Luke Harper promo. So
Right.
teaming him up with a manager like Jake the Snake is tremendous. And, managers, for the most part, have been done away with wrestling. I love that AEW is bringing it back because it really does help the people that can't necessarily get over by themselves. You put them with a great manager and you've got something special there. So that's really cool to see. What else do you want to
talking about?
Oh, go ahead.
Talking about things that A&W is bringing back. The entrance on the ramp. You'll see over on one side you have the defined faces come in,
Right.
and from the other side you'll see the very defined heels come out of that side. That's old school way of doing things, and I love that they're bringing that back as well.
Impact did that for a while too, and I really enjoyed it, and then they just got away from that. So I hope AEW does not get away from that, because you're right. It's supposed to be split so that they're not hanging out with each other backstage. So it's a very small detail as well that goes a long way, in my opinion. What else did you see this week that you kind of want to bring up and talk about?
Like I said, it was everything outside of the ring that just sold this week. Storytelling was great. Love the little cameos, like with Britt Baker coming out. We're keeping her on everyone's mind. We're reminding everyone she's still there. She's still doing this I'm a role model thing,
Right.
and just keeping the story alive without having to actually put her in a match with anyone.
We also saw on Twitter a lot of the women from AEW did some vignettes for International Women's Day, which was really cool. She was featured. Brandy Rhodes was featured. They just did a still shot of Nyla Rose, and then I want to say there was somebody else from AEW, but those were it was Aubrey, your favorite referee, Aubrey. And you know what else that brings up another thing is during the opening match with Aubrey, we heard a Aubrey chant breakout, which seems to be the case anytime you have a match that the crowd isn't into. They just, if Aubrey's in there, they just start chanting for Aubrey. What do you think about that?
In Nashville, I went to the show and Aubrey was in the middle of swapping some things out on the ring mat, and an Aubrey chant busted out. Aubrey's over, and it doesn't matter what she's doing.
Her women's thing was pretty cool. If you didn't check that out, go look that up after the show. All right, I guess that's it for me. Where can people find you, man?
I'm red_Fox15 on all things. I may not be as active on things like Instagram as I am on Twitter, but you can find me there.
And I am TieFighterX1 as well in all of the places. We've got a website being worked up for this show, just so you can kind of keep up to date with what's going on there. And we will be back next week with another edition of the Tie Up. Have a great one, guys.